In the past, Chinese hackers used to dominate global hacking competitions, often securing top positions. But after 2017, their presence suddenly vanished. At first, no one understood why Chinese hackers had stopped participating. Then, in 2019, an incident came to light that exposed the secret behind China's dangerous cyber clan. Viewers, in March 2017, a group of Chinese hackers traveled to Vancouver, Canada. Their mission was to find weaknesses hidden inside the world's most widely used software and devices. Their main targets were Google's Chrome browser, Microsoft Windows, and Apple's iPhones. They weren't there to commit crimes. They were participating in a legitimate hacking competition called Pawn to Own. It's one of the world's biggest contests where hackers test companies' software to discover security flaws or loopholes, and in return, they earn cash rewards. The prize money ranges from $50,000 to $1 million. The biggest prize goes to anyone who finds a vulnerability never discovered before, what's known as a zero-day vulnerability. When a researcher finds such a flaw, the details are handed directly to the company, like Google, Microsoft, or Apple, so they can release an update to fix the issue immediately. The researcher is rewarded handsomely, sometimes with hundreds of thousands of dollars. In short, this is ethical hacking, where the goal is not harm but better security. For many years, Chinese hackers were among the best. Whether it was Pawn to Own or any other event, Chinese teams often came out on top. But after 2017, things changed. The same hackers who once dominated global events suddenly disappeared. Every hacking event after 2017 saw a noticeable drop in Chinese participation. This silence puzzled many, especially in the United States. Around that time, a statement from a major Chinese cybersecurity company caught everyone's attention. Zhu Hongyi, the CEO of Qihoo 360, one of China's leading cybersecurity firms, questioned why Chinese hackers were showing off their skills abroad. He called it meaningless display and said the vulnerabilities discovered at these contests weren't worth just a few $100,000 but potentially billions. Shortly after Zhu's statement, Chinese hackers stopped attending international competitions. Later, it became clear that this wasn't a voluntary decision. The Chinese government had imposed a ban. Authorities announced that from now on, cybersecurity researchers and hackers were not allowed to compete overseas. Immediately after the ban, China launched its own domestic hacking competition called the Tianfu Cup. It became the Chinese alternative to international events, with prize money exceeding $1 million. The launch of Tianfu Cup raised concerns across several countries, as it signaled that China was preparing itself for cyber warfare. In November 2018, the first Tianfu Cup was held in Chengdu, China. A Qihoo 360 researcher named Qi Jian won a major prize after discovering a critical exploit in Apple's iPhone. The attack began through the Safari browser, then dug deep into the iPhone's core system, allowing a hacker to remotely control any iPhone just by making the user visit a specific web page. In other words, if someone opened that specific web page on their phone, the device could be taken over without their knowledge. Qi Jian named this exploit Chaos, and that name turned out to be very fitting because in the months that followed, this same exploit became a nightmare for cybersecurity experts around the world. The main difference between Tianfu Cup and Pawn to Own was transparency. In Pawn to Own, discovered exploits are reported directly to the companies involved, but in Tianfu Cup, Chinese authorities ruled that any exploit found must first be submitted to the government, which would then decide whether and when to pass it on to the companies. That's where the real danger began. Such an exploit, if sold on the black market, could be worth millions of dollars and could be used by criminals or state actors to spy on thousands of people. 2 months later, in January 2019, Apple quietly released an update fixing the flaw discovered by Qi Jian. But the real shock came in August 2019 when Google published a research paper revealing that a massive iPhone hacking campaign was underway. Google identified 5 exploit chains, and one of them was the exact same Chaos exploit. The same exploit that earned Qi Jian his prize was now being used for mass surveillance of iPhone users. It was later discovered that the victims were Uyghur Muslims, and the attacker behind it was the Chinese government itself. Since 2014,
China has been accused of serious human rights violations against Uyghur Muslims and other minorities, particularly in the Xinjiang region. Reports show that millions have been detained in camps, women have been forcibly sterilized, and widespread torture and abuse have occurred. Every phone is monitored, and even religious content can lead to punishment. Chinese officials claim these actions are to combat extremism, but the US and several other nations have labeled it genocide. The Chinese hacking campaign didn't stop with Uyghurs. Journalists, activists, and government critics were also targeted. After Google published its iPhone hacking report, the media quickly connected the dots. Apple later confirmed that the attack had lasted for about 2 months, the same period when Qi Jian had won the Tianfu Cup. American experts concluded that China had followed the exact strategy outlined by Qihu 360, keeping hackers within the country, using their talents domestically, and turning their discoveries into tools for surveillance. To confirm this, US intelligence agencies conducted a full technical breakdown of the chaos exploit, and it matched perfectly with the one used in the Tianfu Cup. Google's further investigation also confirmed that chaos and the real-world attacks had the same structure. Moreover, in February 2024, data from a Chinese company called iSoon was leaked on GitHub. The leak included internal emails, chat logs, and details of spyware development. It revealed that iSoon built surveillance tools for the Chinese government and the People's Liberation Army. Leaked chats showed contracts between iSoon and the Ministry of Public Security, and documents indicated that the company charged between $200 and $75,000 per email inbox. Today, the Tianfu Cup has entered its 8th year. It's sponsored by major Chinese tech companies like TopSec, Alibaba Pay, and Qihu 360. However, US officials are increasingly concerned as several participants and sponsors have now been linked to the Chinese military. TopSec, based in Beijing, organizes the competition, and according to US sources, it's being used to recruit nationalist hackers under the guise of a contest. All of this indicates that behind the facade of Tianfu Cup, China is actually building its own cyber weapons. When state-backed hackers are trained and supported, the goal is not prize money, but national power and intelligence dominance. In 2024, systems of the US Treasury Department were hacked, reportedly by state-sponsored Chinese hackers who stole sensitive documents. That same year, Chinese groups compromised at least 9 US telecom networks, including AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. In 2022, a Chinese group called Volt Thunder Typhoon targeted America's energy and water infrastructure, and in 2023, a malware attack was reported at a US military base in Guam. These are just a few examples of China's cyber operations. Experts warn that when such groups infiltrate infrastructure, they often remain hidden for years, waiting for the perfect time to strike. All of this shows that China is building a cyber army within its borders, a force designed for a new kind of war. A war where missiles are replaced by code, where network shutdowns and phone surveillance can be more destructive than physical weapons. Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video informative. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next episode.